What is going on, my Houston Texans family? Today we are going to be discussing the wide receiver group. How many of them make the 53-man roster? Who is it going to be? My expectations for this group. Am I excited? Because I have to be honest with you guys. I am not as confident in this wide receiver group as I am for the other Houston Texans position groups. I think this is one of the weaker groups as a squad, but there is a lot of potential, right? With so many young guys and some veterans who still have a lot to prove. I don't know what to expect from this wide receiving core. However, when you have a new franchise quarterback in CJ Stroud, this is who he's going to be thrown to. When I look at the wide receiver stats last year, your leading wide receiver would have been Noah Brown, who had 555 yards and 3 touchdowns in a breakout year with the Dallas Cowboys. There was no clear-cut number 1 or number 2 wide receiver on this Houston Texans team at the moment. You would have loved for them to spend in free agency or get one via trade. I loved how we entertained the DeAndre Hopkins potential reunion for a couple of hours, but a number 1 wide receiver is needed on this Houston Texans squad. Is one of these guys going to step up? We're going to discuss that next. But before we get into that, guys, welcome everyone to the 713 Houston Sportcast. I am your host, Ruben Calavillo. I drop daily Houston Texans content. Follow me on Twitter at 713HSP. Follow me on Instagram, 713 Houston Sports. Now, without further ado, let's talk about this wide receiver group. And some of the surprising cuts. I don't think Amari Rodgers, Jalen Camp, or Steven Sims makes this 53-man roster. I think at the end of the day, the Houston Texans will carry 6 wide receivers, and one of them is going to be Robert Woods. This is the veteran of the wide receiver room of the locker room. He spent last season with the Tennessee Titans playing a full 17 games after tearing his ACL the year before. You love that he played a full season. And honestly, when it comes to Robert Woods, I could easily see him anywhere on the depth chart in terms of stats. Really, can he be the number 1, 2, 3, or 4? I definitely think he has a chance. A very good slot wide receiver. He did great things at the LA Rams. Can he find a little bit of that juice back? We don't know, but I'm excited to see what veteran Robert Woods could do. Another wide receiver who has something to prove is Nico Collins entering his year 3. Let's not forget, we traded up multiple first-round picks to select Nico Collins. It was Davis Mills, then it was him. He cannot blame Davis Mills no more for overselling or underthrowing the ball. You now have CJ Stroud, who is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football. Nico, you are 6'4", you have the speed, you have the go up and get it. I've seen it during the preseason. I saw it during that Jags game. We need to see you break out and be that number 2, potentially number 1 wide receiver for this Houston Texans team. Another wide receiver who I am excited to see is John Mechie coming back from cancer. They are marketing him like he is going to dominate this year. Comeback player of the year, in my opinion, John Mechie. Cancer. If he didn't tear his ACL at the end of the college football season, he would have been a first-round wide receiver. I am excited to see what the Karate Kick Crane could do here at NRG. John Mechie, I am excited for you. The 4th wide receiver on this list is the guy who you just signed from the Dallas Cowboys, Noah Brown, 555 yards, 3 touchdowns last year. That would have been the number 1 wide receiver here on the Houston Texans. A very good blocker with the Cowboys. And you know, with the San Francisco offense, you need a blocking wide receiver. And Noah Brown, our boy Landry Locker, said that he wouldn't be surprised if Noah Brown becomes a very good wide receiver for this Houston Texans team. He broke out this year. Can he continue that? Just 3 hours away from where he originally started. Noah Brown, I am excited to see what you could do. Now, your 2 rookies, your 2 young guys, they come with so much hype. One of them being Nathaniel Tank Dell, who your franchise quarterback told the Texans to go out there and get. What is his projection this year? I don't want to drink the Kool-Aid, but this was one of the best route running wide receivers in college football. 1,171 yards, 17 touchdowns with the Cougars, 10 in his last 10. And also, he gives you that special teams flavor, was very dynamic for the Cougars. Tank Dell is going to be so special. He told the Houston Texans, do not let me leave the city, and that is exactly what they did. What are the expectations for Tank Dell? Honest, for me, a 500-yard season. You are a third-round pick at the end of the day. We are still a real building team, but you are going to bring that swag, that must-watch on the field. I am excited for Nathaniel Tank Dell. Then to finish it off, the sixth wide receiver on this list, that is Xavier Hutchinson, who you took in the 6th round. Was one of the best wide receivers in the Big 12, right? For the Iowa State, the past 3 years was the leading wide receiver. Spent another 2 years with Blinn College, where he was named a top 10 junior college football wide receiver. A lot to prove Xavier Hutchinson does have. Is he going to make a dent this year? I don't know. There is a bunch of veterans. There are some guys who need to prove. But overall, like I said before, I don't know what this wide receiver group is going to give me, right? I've mentioned all these names, and the only thing I've been able to say is I am excited to see what they could potentially do. There was no clear-cut number 1. There was no clear-cut number 2. Any one of these 6 could be 1, 2, and 3 for me, quite honestly. You guys let me know how you feel about the wide receiver group. As always, go Texans. You guys have a very blessed day.